Hello, and welcome to another horror review. I'm joined once again by Chris as we continue our journey along the Graboid Trail with Tremors 3, Back to Perfection. Burt Gummer has returned to the town of Perfection after a successful hunting journey at the request of the Argentinian government. Sure enough, a new attack occurs from Graboid, Shriekers, and a new variant. This movie was released straight to DVD in 2001. Chris, welcome, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me. These are
Here
still
we
a
are
lot of
again.
fun, and this is great. I love these.
I saw the Tremors saga. They went live after I'd finished another stream and I jumped on them, and God, they are up there. See, in terms of like knowing this content,
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
unreal. I kind of feel like we're like just swimming in the baby pool of Tremors, but
If
we're
you
taking
want,
the movies and appreciating them.
yeah, but we're probably coming at it from a different angle than them. Like they're used to the like a detailed analysis and expert. This is just like two like casual fans. So it's two different sides of the spectrum. So both are good. You guys can check out both links and
Well,
see what
absolutely.
you think. Yeah.
Those no the main guy does it. A lot of fun. Like I said, I jumped on. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning my time, and I'm like, okay, 5 minutes more, but I have to go to bed.
I wonder what they think of my theories. They probably know the real answer, so they're probably laughing at it.
Yeah, it's all good. Those guys taking over. Well, we'll have a wee stab anyway.
Sure.
It's been ages since I've seen any of these sequels, so it's almost like the first time, if I'm honest.
Oh, nice.
So
What were
it's
your
new
initial
territory.
thoughts? Did you like it?
This was, in my opinion, definitely better put together than Tremors 2.
Interesting.
It was more sure of itself. It knew the directions wanting to go. I think we both got the impression from Tremors 2. It was a bit like, oh, we haven't got the original cast. Oh shit. Oh right. Okay. We need to do something. But the manager pulled it out of the bag.
Yeah.
This one feels like, yep, this is what we're doing. This is where we're going. Bert's the hero. Let's crack on.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. This was the first one in the series that was rated PG in the States. So it was kind of my son uses a term nerfed, which is kind of means like everything is kind of like made safe.
Mm-hmm.
So the previous ones were PG-13. So this is definitely like less of a horror movie, and they just went full, comedy with it. I did like the movie. I thought it was a lot of fun. I think my initial thoughts was that the movie was like what would happen if a 12-year-old directed it, and a 12-year-old who liked the first two movies. So it
Mm-hmm.
had like all of the same elements of the first two movies, but everything was kind of like taken down a notch as far as like the threat, and like the acting and everything was kind of like not as good for me. But Burt carried it, and overall, I thought it was a lot of fun. Yeah, yeah. I can't wait to get into it with you.
Okay, yeah. I get that because that's the way a lot of long-standing franchises go. They realize that they can't keep the horror going because once you've seen everything in a particular, like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, the only ones that have tried to keep it going is Halloween, but they've failed miserably
Okay.
with the tension and the horror. But once you've had the initial shocks, like we know what a Graboid is, we know what a Shrieker is, we know there's going to be more variants. It's going to, it's effectively going to become a monster movie.
Right, right, right.
And you can't do the same tired old tropes of, we saw it in the first one, we got the tension build up, the unknown.
Yeah.
Now the know and the tension's there, and then the shock of the variant coming, that kept the horror. But then you get to a point, you write yourself into a corner.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense that, okay, we've done that. Okay, let's now move into the fun element. Nightmare on Elm Street did it perfectly with Dream Warriors Part 3.
Okay.
They understood from the first two, okay, people aren't scared of Freddy anymore. How do we keep going?
Yeah.
And then that's where it transitioned into the sort of the wisecracks, the quips, the fun deaths. And I think this is where this movie's kind of went.
Gotcha. Yeah. You could see it. Yeah. Just the we'll get to it, but just the term they used for the new variant, that right away tells you what type of movie it's going to be.
But we'll get the start off. Bert's been invited down by the Argentinian government, and he's just got that swagger about him now. Where in the second one he was kind of depressed, and in the unknown and like, oh God, I don't know what have I got myself into, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But now he's got that confident swagger, and I like to see that. I like to see a character arc.
Yeah. I tell you, without him, I thought this movie would be unwatchable. All of his scenes were fantastic. I thought he was great, and I like that they started with him being total confidence. He takes on all those shriekers with the anti-aircraft gun.
Because yes, that had to happen. There's some questionable CGI there.
Oh my gosh, yes.
But you kind of took it in the fun though. I kind of took it in the fun of the scene, so I forgave it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because do you get what I'm saying? Where characterization is everything.
Yeah.
You've got a good character, you can lead a story, even a very simple one. If you don't have characterization, the thing's as flat as a board.
Yeah, and I think they were smart about it because they knew they didn't have Kevin Bacon this time. Again, they didn't have Fred Ward for the first time, Val and Earl. So they knew that this Michael Gross was like their main guy, and they leaned on him. And I thought it was successful. I thought he was able to carry the movie because you're interested in him as a character. It's been earned up till now in the two movies. And I thought he was like over the top, like almost like an Ash Williams character from Evil Dead.
Yeah.
But it's great. I mean, in the same ways that Ash Williams, everyone loves that character. I love Burt. I just want him to do well.
This is back to the point. Horror doesn't need to be gore.
Yeah.
And this is the old trope. This is the old trope of the slashers, etc., etc. Horror doesn't need to be gory. You still get the idea that this ain't good.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And oh dear, you know what I mean? We're in trouble. But you can have fun.
Oh, it was definitely
People
fun.
forget these days that you're allowed to have fun.
Yeah. And I thought it was actually smart of them to have him be like in control in the beginning and look like he's overconfident and nothing can get to him. And then this way, as the movie went on and they put him through the ringer where he almost dies a bunch of times, it makes it a little more exciting because they started him at such a high place and then they took him down a notch.
And that's it, the existential threat, It's the equivalent of when they do everything's bright and sunny and everyone's smiling and happy and you're just waiting for the clanger to drop.
Yeah.
This is kind of the equivalent. So it's basics, it's basic storytelling.
Yeah.
Not being overcomplicated. This is, I think, a problem with today. There's too many people trying to be smart or intellectual or, high art. And you're like, nah, that's okay when you're in that little getting pats in the back from your little circle, but most of us don't care.
Yeah, we just want to have fun with the movie, entertaining. Yeah.
Do you remember that? Do you remember when movies were just meant to entertain you? Oh, the days. Oh, you kids don't know nothing. You kids with your lectures on screen now.
Yeah.
We just want to have fun. Forget about the world for an hour or two.
Yeah, that's why I love showing my son 80s movies because it was just this almost felt in that vein where it was just there was no hidden message, there was no overcomplicated plot. It was just fun. Yeah.
Funny enough, there was a wee bit of message in this, sort of environmental and protection of species, and
it's true.
It shows how when you get it wrong, you get it wrong, but when you get it right. And it kind of shows both approaches. It shows the wrong approach, and then it shows the mutually beneficial approach, which we'll get into, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good point, yeah.
So you can, once again, maybe people pick me up wrong because I'm against this empty virtue signaling, which doesn't actually mean anything of today, where you can care about something, you can put it in the movie, but you can put it in such a way that it actually makes sense and you can make people sympathetic.
Right.
Where today it just seems to be, I'm doing it to be obnoxious and I actually want to annoy you because that's how I got my rocks off. And it's very narcissistic and weird.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But we start off that brilliant scene. I was just laughing. You know what I mean? He's coming down with the MVGs on and the headlights at the same time, which one cancels out the other. Have you ever wear night vision goggles?
For these purposes, I'll say no.
All right. All it takes is
I
somebody
don't
to
want
put
my
on
neighbor to be onto me. No, I'm
no,
just kidding.
somebody to put on a torch or headlights. That's it. You're everything just goes whoa,
Oh, gotcha,
and
gotcha.
you're killed. So him driving with the MVGs and
Yeah.
the lights on, like, that's not how it works. But we're getting into the comical aspect.
Yeah. I love all his equipment. I tell you, the saddest part of the whole movie, all those years of work and putting that together, that compound. Ah,
The
I
second one,
felt
do
so bad for him.
you remember he lost the first compound?
Yeah, that's true. It was broken into, but this one
Yeah.
seemed like it was even more. He
Oh,
had
he
like all
had
these,
he had it together, and it's like, nah.
yeah, he had all these escape routes planned and everything, redundant features, and oh, it was great.
um, but then obviously he decides to go back to perfection. That's where this takes place. When I thought of the title and that, I'm thinking, how can you make this work? That was my question. Of
How
how can you go back to the original incident and make it work?
Yeah, see, for me, I thought this was my favorite aspect besides Bert. I'm very sentimental, and I love in sequels when they do callbacks to the previous ones because then it makes it feel like you're watching one long continuous story. So when I saw they were going back to the same sets to the same location, I actually really enjoyed that, and they brought back all of the same background characters too. The little girl who's now grown up,
Mm-hmm.
Melvin. I mean, it was all of that was
Yeah, we'll talk
great.
about him.
But I love that aspect. I thought that was really cool to put it in the same place.
And it wasn't just a sleepy town. So we'll go back to perfection and see they've actually scaled up.
Yeah,
They're like, oh, these things are real. Oh, right, okay, they've got prepared. And Bert has set all this stuff up, and everyone just accepts that Bert is the prepared guy, and he knows what he's doing, and they've just taken it on board.
yeah, and I think that's what's great about the sequels. Like they didn't have to use valuable minutes explaining why they bought into Bert because you've had that earned from the previous movies.
Mm-hmm.
So you understand from past history why they would just listen to him and go with his suggestions and stuff like that. But I thought that was a great story beat to see how the town was capitalizing on this horrific event that took place 11 years ago. They were selling merchandise. They even had the arcade game, like all these little things.
Remember, mate, I'm from Belfast,
Yeah.
and we're still milking the Titanic.
Are you?
Freaking,
All right, whatever it takes.
that's a ship I grew to hate. You notice on your face all the time. Yeah, they're still milk out. Like, this is where it was built. Blah, 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 blah.
Oh,
These are the
wow.
people. Yeah, because it was built in Harlem Wolf
Huh.
in
I didn't
Belfast.
know that.
Yeah,
No, I didn't know.
and that was always a joke. It was fine when I left Belfast. Is what used to do it when I got to Southampton's the problem. Yeah, that's where it's built. So still, milking that a couple of hundred
Yeah.
years, 130 years later, there's still plaques and stuff. And the Titanic Museum, sure, that's still, I think, the most popular museum in Europe.
Oh, wow.
Like number one in terms of visiting.
Oh, gotcha. I bet you guys were like, it was starting to die down and you were happy. And then that movie came out, right? And then it just got worse again.
There's always been people. I'll give an example. You know those Ferris wheel things that they put now in every town centre?
Yeah.
Right. There was one of them, but it was next to the memorial site for the people who lost in the Titanic that were from Belfast or from Northern Ireland.
That's odd. Yeah.
And there was a campaign group that got that thing moved. Like, this thing was bringing in tourism, and it was something buzzing in the city, and it was actually popular. People go up, see the top of the city through the Ferris wheel
Gotcha.
thing, right?
Yeah.
They actually campaigned to get that moved because it was interrupting with one of their little prayer groups they have every year. And you're talking about people who are now twice removed, like never even met the ancestor, and it's just a social club. But because they're in with the council and stuff, they'd actually got that thing removed.
Yeah.
So I can understand, go back to this movie, how even though it's a horrible event, even though people lost their lives, yeah, you capitalize on it. That becomes the identity or something unique to
Yeah.
your place. So why wouldn't you?
It made sense. I mean, you got from the first movie that these are not people of wealth. and this is their way of making a living. I mean, there's not a lot of opportunities in that town. So even though it was a tragic event, and it seems odd, for example, like the niece of
Walter, yeah,
Walter, yeah, Jody.
Jodie Chang, yeah.
So at first it seems odd that she would capitalize when her uncle was killed in it, but this was like her uncle's home. This is his shop. So in a way, it's almost like a tribute. So I guess
Well,
it's just
she could have sold up.
Yeah.
She was given the shop, but instead of selling up and moving on, she came back.
Yeah.
And working harder because she gave up I can't remember what she was doing. She was doing something lucrative anyway.
Oh, they did say that. That's true.
Yeah, so she was doing something. She gave that up to come back and run her uncle's store.
Yeah.
That's not capitalizing, I think. That's family loyalty.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a great story beat that this town was adapting to what happened this way.
Like, still called it Walter's, and I loved the little plaque above the door.
Yes, that was a nice
little frame picture of Walter, and because he was a lovely character. He was a great character.
Yeah.
And I think I said this in the first one, his death was the one who's like, whoa, no, not Walter.
Yeah, yeah. He didn't have any like major like character flaw. Like sometimes in these movies, like if you're overconfident or you're promiscuous or you take drugs, like there's reasons why the creature kills you. Mm-hmm. And I didn't see any of that with him. He was just
he was the center. He was I think we'll talk about this, the grocery store, the general store, whatever. That's usually in a small community, that's the hub.
Yeah.
That and the church, if irrespective of what you believe in, 9 times out of 10, the church is usually built in the grocery. There's always a the community place.
Yeah.
He will know everybody. He supplies everybody. He gets it for them. And these has been built up before the days of online shipping and stuff. But even then, those shops would be the place where it all gets dropped off anyway. So they become the central hub. Yeah. And he was that comfort blanket. And I think in the first one, it was just showing an example of that comfort blanket being ripped away.
Right.
And that was part of the horror, oh, right. And that's why I'm saying, I don't understand horror movies that don't get you invested in their characters.
Yeah.
Because if we're just slasher, wooden planks that get knocked over, you don't care.
Yeah, for sure. And I love that aspect too, that it's a continuous story. So if you didn't show how perfection was affected by it at some point in these movies, I think it would have been a disservice to the franchise. So I loved seeing it, and I loved that they were reacting in this way, and all the different merchandise was hilarious. The little fake, graboids.
What'd you think of those tentacles?
Yeah, those were not as good as as you would like.
You're like, I didn't make the tentacles in the first one, but guess what? It can get worse.
That's right. That's right.
It can always get worse.
Yeah, they showed me.
We get introduced to, because obviously Burt's been away for a while, and he's been doing this like worldwide tour. We found out it's not just to Argentina. He's been to Russia. He's been to Asia. Just Argentina was one. So he's been like this worldwide tour as an advisor.
Right.
And he comes back and he sees the changes in the town. And the first thing he notices is obviously at the real estate agent's place. The attack is hell across from the store, and you're like, ugh.
Yeah. Melvin?
Yeah, but we didn't know it was Melvin at that point.
Yeah.
That was the reveal.
Yeah.
And he's like, what the hell's going on here? Oh, somebody's trying to buy up the land. And even Jody makes a joke with him. Oh, yeah, you got another offer letter. Shall I file it straight into the shredder?
Yeah.
And like, you get that kind of banter. And even though this is not a rich town, to have something more valuable. And that's what a lot of people forget today.
Yeah. I thought the town was actually a major important character in the first movie. And in this one, again, it's that town camaraderie that about each other. They were willing to risk their lives to help each other in the first movie. And I loved seeing that revisited this way. So I thought that was a cool story beat, that Burt was like protective of the town, and it makes you like him even more. You rooted for him. Yeah.
He didn't just clear off.
Right.
And he didn't sit on the top of his hill going, well, I'm all right.
Right.
We'll see without, and it's this thing, show don't tell, where a lot of films today they waste time in dialogue and explaining things, how such and such a character is a fantastic, great, wonderful. God, what do you call that series? I only got through The Witcher.
Oh, okay.
Season 2 was the Yennefer season, and every other episode was telling you how great Yennefer was, but didn't show you anything.
Okay, I only saw season 1.
Right. I only
love
watched halfway.
The video game is great. If you ever get a chance to check out the video game, that's amazing.
Yeah, I've heard that, and I've heard the books are pretty decent as well.
Oh, okay.
I don't know which is based on which. I think the video game's based on books, or they're the sort of a joint thing.
Okay.
But it's a major book series as well. And that's, but they were telling you how great this character is, how they're wonderful, and this is a mistake a lot of movies make today.
Yeah.
They tell you they're great, but they don't show by their actions. Where we see this in perfection, Burt has actually went and installed all this stuff around the town, where he could have just went off, made his fortune, not give a toss, but he actually spent time.
That's a great point. And there's little subtle lines in the movie that also show you how he cares for the other people. There's a part where he's giving, I think, Jack and Jody, he's handing them weapons. And then he also stops and hands them a coat. And he says, here, take this also. You guys look cold. It's just like a quick line, almost like something that it's easy to overlook. But like little subtle things like that, or how upset he gets, not to spoil, we'll talk about it later, Miguel, how upset he was about that.
I was upset.
Yeah, that one was
It's like, oh, not Miguel before I have what, you know what I mean? Because they're losing the original, these are original town folks. And you're like, oh no, not Miguel.
Yeah. But it just shows like like a good guy he is, and like you said, they don't make a big deal of it. It's just little lines here or there, that demonstrate it, as opposed to like being over the top and pronouncing it. Yeah,
and it's actually challenging stereotypes, which is always good.
Yeah.
Guess what? If you want to, whoever what you are, if you want people to like you, don't be a stereotype.
Yeah.
There's a reason stereotypes exist. They're born out of reality, and they're just exaggerated.
Right.
The reality's there. The grounding of reality's there. So don't become that stereotype if you want to get along with folks.
Exactly.
There's a reason they're mocked and derided, because they're not pleasant aspects. So he has this whole thing, the whole gruff, cocky swagger exterior, but it's not. It's not arrogance, it's confidence. And like I said, by just showing those little things, and the fact that he's went through the town, because because I think it's a bit further on, we get the first siren, and everyone just automatically, oh, it's Burt siren, and then just act.
Yeah.
Even after all the time, he's he has sat down with all these people, and he's not just installed them, but he's explained them, and he's drilled into them, and he's saying, right, this happens, blah, 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 blah. And you could picture Burt. You didn't have to see Burt through flashbacks giving the lectures.
Right.
He's lectured he's went around every household.
Yeah, you could tell that there's been drills that he's made them do.
He has individually went around every household and spent a day with them, installed this stuff, and he's told them. And you didn't have to have that explained.
Absolutely. I love how they did that. Yeah. The movie had some good, story beats like that makes you Burt even more endearing than he already was. And we already liked him from the previous movies, but they really did a good job focusing on him.
Another thing it did, though, was it brought in new characters as well, and they managed to make them feel connected. Because I think that's where what do you call him out of two?
Grady?
Grady, yeah.
Yeah.
That's where they kind of missed the beat. Although, don't say that to hardcore Tremors fans, they will jump on you.
Oh, do they like Grady?
I just said I found him hard to warm to. How dare you bastard! He's brilliant. Like, whoa, okay. Back it off.
Maybe that was Grady that you spoke to, the actor. That's the only way.
He's got 100 bot accounts. And he's like,
yeah.
He's got like extensions on his fingers so he can type at 10 keyboards at once.
That's the only thing I've never seen him in anything else, so maybe that actor is hanging on to that role.
Could be.
Grady's the best T-shirts. And...
Oh man, that'd be brilliant. Yeah, but we'll see. Jodie's good introduction. Even Jack, I thought I wasn't going to like.
I'm with you on that. I thought, here we go again, another Grady character. They're trying
That's exactly what I thought. Here's Grady 2.0.
Yeah, like they're trying to recreate that stereotype of like the gruff, dumb cowboy type who's handy but isn't smart and, means well, type of character. But I thought as the movie went on, he actually grew on me. I thought that they didn't make him too dumb, like he was, I feel like a fully formed human.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave him a different character trait than Grady or even
Val
in the first movie. Yeah, like his character trait was that he was like a shyster. He was trying to like con people, which was a different take.
But people, that was another clever thing they did as well. Don't know if you noticed.
In what
He's
way?
not conning people.
You don't think so?
No, because when it got real, what? You actually put us in danger, blah, blah. So people kind of know they're going along for the ride.
Interesting.
There was who was it? It was the big guy. They started freaking out at him when it actually happened.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Like because they knew it was they knew it was an illusion, and then when it actually became real, they're like, you actually put us in danger. It's like, I think it's like people going on the safari.
Yeah.
If you've ever done that, and they think they're in this bed truck and they're driving through wild animals, and somehow they think if they come under danger, like you see the videos all the time, like a tiger decides to jump in, or a lion jumps in or something, or a giraffe starts chasing one of the wagons, and then they freak out because they're actually in danger, because for some reason they think they should be safe, like 100%, no risk whatsoever, while putting themselves in that situation.
Right. I didn't think about it that way. That's interesting. So do you think they knew that those explosions were fake?
I think in the back of their mind they knew, but they wanted to believe, that whole like going into a haunted house attraction.
Right. That's a good
it's not real, but you want to suspend disbelief for the duration of your visit.
Yeah.
And you want, like a ghost train, you want to suspend disbelief.
Yeah.
And that came out very interestingly after Buford. Like, God, there was a horrible character.
Oh, yeah. That's a stereotype for you.
He was ridiculous. He started off innocent enough, but then when who was the wee girl, the niece? Amy? No. The one that's grown up.
Oh, I will look it up. Yeah, I forgot to write her name.
God, so dead. But the wee girl, you said it at the start there. I forgot to put her name down. But when she went out with him,
yeah,
and she had her eyes on Jack, and he was almost getting a wee bit rapey.
He was, yeah.
And I'm like, where the hell is this coming from?
Mindy. That's
Mindy,
right.
Yes.
Ariana Richards is the actress's name. Yeah, Mindy.
Grown up Mindy. So she came out with Buford and watching him doing the thing, and he's going through the same routine, and then he just gets randomly like, you're disrespecting me. I'm gonna almost like I'm gonna take you now and then. You're like, where the hell did that come from?
Yeah.
That's the only bit that took me out of this movie, to be honest, because there was no need for it.
Yeah, that was an odd choice by the director.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No indication whatsoever, and then just randomly like that for nothing. And then it doesn't ask because obviously he gets eaten, but I'm like, what the hell was that?
Yeah. But it was interesting that like his friend Jack doesn't even seem to care much about him. Like he doesn't mention him the whole rest of the movie. And even when it first happened, there was no remorse. There was no moment of, oh my God, my friend just got eaten. It was almost like the director knew that no one would care about that character.
Yeah, he was a classic 2D character. That's what I mean. If you can afford to have, it's all about percentages.
Yeah.
You can afford to have so many of those characters, but it's when they're the majority of your movie, then you don't care, and then you've no investment.
Right.
So that's the Beefords. They're designed to be eaten. That's the 2D character I talk about.
Yeah.
They're unlikable. There's nothing about them. They've no real stake in the game.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay. When you start having too many of those Buford type characters, that's when the movie isn't really worth watching. You don't get enjoyment out of it.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah, that was really interesting, just making him like he was alright, he's still a 2D character as he was just a helping hand. He thought, he wasn't really doing much. But then making him get like that was like, oh, what the hell are you doing? That just doesn't even fit in with the vibe of this franchise.
Yeah. It doesn't really make sense. You would think that the director would want you to care if a character died, to have some resonance. And this is the opposite. You just like Jack, you kind of just like, okay, let's move on. Yeah.
Yeah, it was almost like someone you just gave a job to because it's convenient.
Right. Exactly.
Fair enough. No real like friendship there.
Yeah.
Oh, that was fair enough. But yeah, that was after that bit where you actually see the tourists freaking out. They're like, what? This is actually real. We're in danger. What are you doing? You're ripping me off. No, and that's what they said. You're ripping me off.
Yeah.
They were saying to the big fella, because he was doing the thing, getting them on the rocket game where he said, oh, now we'll stand here for a minute. Oh, are you thirsty? He does the same pitch. He does it every tour.
Yeah.
But yeah, the minute it becomes real and Buford's the one that gets killed by El Blanco, that's when they freaked out.
Right.
And that's when they called him a fraud.
That's interesting. I never looked at it that way. I have to rewatch that scene, but it makes sense. Yeah, that they knew that they were part of it. Like you said, they suspended disbelief, but they never were actually thought they were in danger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The first time I watched it, I thought that they saw he had that happens.
Yeah, I think there's more of a cleverness in this franchise than there's any right to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
This could so easily have been, when you get the straight to video, like this is a classic example, straight to video sequel.
Right.
It should just be dumb. There's so many of them are done, and I bang my head off the desk. I'm like, why am I watching this? And I feel my eyes, my ears bleeding as I'm assaulted from the TV screen. And I cry a little inside, and then I come on here and cry about it. So these are my support groups sometimes when I have to come on after certain movies.
Those reviews are just as helpful as the good ones.
But
community service.
This wasn't that. There's more.
Fun.
There's a deeper level to this that I think it's just clever storytelling.
Yeah, and we'll get to it, but that twist at the end was good writing, and I actually think this is my favorite ending of the three. But I won't jump ahead.
Yeah.
But
we'll get introduced to El Blanco, who's essentially the new Stumpy.
Yeah, so Stumpy and El Blanco so far are the only Graboids that have been named, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And my only problem, I think, with this movie was the CGI was so bad, particularly with El Blanco. Like that scene where he comes out of the ground next to the compound. Like,
oh my god, that was it's like he's sliding through butter the ground, and the ground's not disturbed.
The ground doesn't move at all. Like, how hard is it just to have someone throw some dirt or something like while the scene is going on? It was, oh my gosh, that was brutal. But I like the concept of El Blanco of because it goes against everything Burt believes in, to keep him alive. Burt is anti-graboids. He kills them all. He's anti-government, so him keeping him alive at the end because of the government, regulation. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah,
I love El Blanco.
That's like antagonism, and they're giving them, they're starting to give the Graboids more personality now.
Yeah.
Because at the start, they're just mindless creatures. And it's like, nah, these things have been around longer than us. They're organized, they communicate, they evolve. And now we're starting to see there's a purpose to it. It's not just random. And they're actually building it into the storyline. So it's not just, here's a new thing we're going to throw at the screen.
Right.
Where so many of these movies have done in the past.
Yeah.
Here's a new variant to sell a new toy. what do you call them stupid things? Superhero movies.
Gotcha.
Here's Ba 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 with a new colored cape.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
what's that our shite? Masters Universe was terrible for it. Because they have the same template for all the toys. I don't know if you ever watched any documentaries about how they're made.
No, but I had all the toys
So
as a kid.
all of them, and even as a kid, I was starting to recognize they're all the same. You know, all exactly the same mold, and all they do is change the uniform and maybe you know, an accessory of an arm. So the arms are all, you know, it's like they've molded a new arm, but they had the chest plates. Everyone's the same size and the same legs, and they just molded a few things and put new armor on, and you're like, all right, okay.
Yeah, I think Transformers was guilty of that too. Especially if it just changed the color of one of the planes, and it went from like Starscream to Blue Streak, or I'm probably getting the name wrong, but
Blitzwing and Thundercracker weren't the sweeps.
Oh yeah. But just change the color of the toy, and it's a different person.
Oh god, I remember the G1 toys were like all those, like they're all exactly the same.
Yeah.
How many times did that with Optimus Prime and Ultra Magnus? Like Ultra Magnus was busy Optimus Prime, but was a different
exactly.
thing, you know? What are you doing?
Yeah. But as a kid, you bought it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. You winded your parents to bat, and you're like,
yeah.
But they're not doing this here. And I think that's what's making this franchise a little different. And I think that's what's giving it. Oh dear, I think Chris is frozen.
So am I back? Yeah.
So I think that's what's giving this a bit more legs and why it's able to be rewatchable after such a period of time.
Yeah, the personality is good. I hope they continue to do that with the next ones. Yeah.
But yeah, after the attack, Nancy rings the government. Like they get what happened? They get on the radio. Burt sends the signal up, doesn't he? The siren.
Yeah,
and
correct.
Everyone's like, "Oh, there's Burt's signal, right? Better get up in the roofs."
I actually like this story beat. I get the impression that you didn't like the fact that she called the feds.
No.
See,
without speaking to Burt first.
Yeah, I guess in my mind it went through my head, if based on what happened in the first movie where they weren't able to call out because the phones were down. If the phones were down again in this movie, it would just seem like too contrived. I like the fact that she did actually have access to the phones, and she did use them, because that's what I would do in that situation. Knowing what happened the first time, I would want as much help to come as possible. So I thought they addressed it, and then obviously it didn't work out anyway. But I like
the department she called.
Yeah. What do you think she should have
called the environmental department?
Yeah. You think she should have just called?
Because you don't just ring the government.
Yeah.
If you've ever tried to ring the government, you understand what I mean.
Oh yeah.
There is no central helpline for this is what I want. No. You have to work out what department's going to help you, and then you have to figure out via their website, and your country's actually worse.
Yeah,
because
she was on the phone.
Your government literally doesn't want to help people.
So she was on the phone for like 7 hours that they just didn't show, you think?
Yeah, actually, it was the end of the movie. They would turn up if it was real. But no, so she specifically called the environmental agency.
Gotcha.
That's my issue.
Yeah.
I could understand her calling the sheriff's office. I could understand her calling the police. I could understand them having a hotline to the National Guard.
Right.
That I would get.
Right.
But no, she called the environmental agency for whatever reason to get these absolute arseholes turn up.
Yeah.
And berate Burt for being successful.
Yeah. That's true. Those were definitely stereotypical government people, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I still stand by it. Nazi should have been fed to the Graboids.
For that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Once you get the civil service involved, you need to like get dispatched quickly.
I mean, definitely over Miguel. Miguel did nothing wrong.
No,
Miguel.
Like Nancy, that should have been Nancy. Maybe they're afraid that that's straight to DVD, but if it had been in cinemas, everyone would be like, "Yay!" Suck it.
Poor Nancy.
It's a betrayal. I don't like
Yeah.
betrayal.
Yeah, that's true. Burt has stuck his life on the line repeatedly, and
stuck his neck out for the town
for
and
the
went out of
town.
his way
Yeah,
to not just look after himself. So for her to do that on him is pretty shit.
yeah, yeah. But I thought it was realistic. But you're right, still
It worked
wrong.
though. It worked as a story beat
Yeah, it did.
because you
It
actually
did.
felt that sense of betrayal,
Yeah, I get that.
and you can get that somebody, she thought she was doing the right thing. And that's what I'm saying. It's the fact we can have the conversation about it
Yeah,
shows good storytelling. We're not being told she was right or wrong.
right.
You might come from one opinion, I might come to another, but we're having a discussion. A piece of art has made two people talk about an incident
Right. Right.
and their perspective on it and still remain friends. Imagine that.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely had some interesting story ideas. It was not a typical direct to DVD movie where they just kind of phoned it in. Like there was definitely some interesting concepts, such as the new variant. What do you think of the new variant?
The ass blasters.
If you weren't sure at that point if it was going to be a serious horror movie or not, when they named it Ass Blasters, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, I get it. I know what we're doing now.
But once again, this could have just been, oh, we've got wings now, just to amp it up.
Right.
But they've actually explained the life cycle of a graboid.
So they did, but they don't know what I know.
But they're surmising, and still they're managing to give it some sort of logic.
But I think I have it all figured out. Are you ready?
Is this Chris's theory time?
Yes, you ready?
Okay.
We're ready for Chris's crazy theories. Can you see
I'm
that?
gonna do a video. I'm gonna get a screen, and we'll get that happening.
There we go. Okay. So my first theory was that these creatures had lived for millions of years underground and were very highly evolved, but they hadn't changed because their environment had stayed the same. They were probably eating microbes or tiny creatures that were.
Is this following on from your previous theory?
Yes. So then because of oil digging and fracking, they are able to go through some cracks and get to the surface. And now they're they're coming into play with all the new, food that they never had access to. So they started eating processed food, sugary foods, which they alluded to in the second one. And that's when they started to evolve quickly and turned into the Shriekers. And they were bursting out of the mother's belly before they had a chance to even hatch. So they're evolving very quickly because they're, for the first time, being exposed to this new type of food. What are some of the other things they've been eating? They've been eating trucks, machinery, because you see that all getting sucked down, the cars in the first movie, and things are getting sucked down, things that have oil in them. So now they're taking in that oil and gas and all these different products into their digestive systems, which is being incorporated into their evolution. And so that is how they transformed into these creatures that have combustible asses, because now they have that oil as part of their evolutionary cycle. So I still think it's because of what they're eating is why they're now evolving into these creatures that are ass blasters.
See, with the second one, I was with you up to the point that it happened too quickly, hence
Really?
them bursting out of the graboid. Yeah, because
I
that would
think you
make
should have
sense.
jumped off way before.
No. I'm actually with you at the point. Because when you explained your theory the first time, that why they didn't just hatch as the next stage and they burst out of the mother, it makes sense. Or they're hermaphrodites, so they're not actually mother or father, and they're like worms. But when they burst out of the parent, the host,
Right.
that was making sense because the high calorie and value of the food was too much, and the change was happening too rapidly.
Right.
Where these are a slow creature, in terms of like how their processes go.
Yeah.
I get the theory because the fact that they even try to make it make sense is a testament.
Right.
rather than going, oh, it's radiation or some stupid nonsense like that, or oh, this is what they're doing now.
Yeah.
They're learning, because then they could set up for the ridiculousness of, oh, they're evolving to this, that, and the other, and they get tentacle, just because the plot wants it to happen.
Right.
That's
Right.
where the path to stupidity can lead.
Yeah, for sure.
So the fact that they're only showing another variant, but then they're saying this looks like it's the end of their cycle, they multiply shriekers, they then cocoon into the ass blasters, and it's only to get them out to lay eggs for the next cycle.
Right.
Did we see an egg hatch?
No, you just saw the skin shed off.
Yep. So we haven't seen. I wonder where that came from. I missed that bit where they're laying eggs.
I didn't see that. There was a scene that they were laying eggs. I don't remember that.
I don't remember either.
I think they referenced it. They said
referenced it, but I don't think we've seen it.
Right.
So this is where you're right. You're saying it's a theory. They're
Yeah.
not shown, but the fact that they're trying to make logical sense of why they would do this
Yeah.
is cool, because that's keeping it grounded. Because this could so easily get dialed in, and we don't know. We've got another 3 movies to do.
Right.
This could just get completely stupid.
Yeah.
But I think they're trying to resist that temptation.
They're at least making an attempt to give an explanation. Yeah, for sure.
While ramping it up, because where else do you go? We've seen the Shriekers. We're now seeing a combined attack of Graboids and Shriekers.
Right.
And then they've evolved into the Ass Blaster.
The name is just ridiculous.
I wonder if they change it for the 4th one.
I don't know.
You know what I mean? They've just, but then again, it's what do? You're spur of the moment. You're not sitting down by committee. We're okay. We'll call them that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it kind of makes sense of the heat of the moment sort of thing.
Yeah.
You need to call them something.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen the full cycle.
No, that's true. Maybe the next one they'll show it. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what happens next. I appreciate the fact that they're reining it in and they're not trying to go all out to make it. Talk about Transformers, Michael Bay's movies just got dumber and dumber and more explosions and just no plot and just flashy noises.
Yeah.
And that's what you don't want. That's, that turns people off.
Right.
That's why these movies, they started off the first one and then just after that.
Yeah. I don't think this franchise will ever turn into that because they just don't have the budget to do explosions.
Well, they've had plenty of explosions.
They did have a few in the second one. That's true.
But what I mean is, just by dialing it back with a bit of decent storytelling, which doesn't cost anything, just the imagination of the creator.
Yeah.
Back to what I'm saying, you don't need a huge budget to make great movies that last a long time.
Right.
And I think this is where things got skewed in terms of movie. Everything has to be the $300 million blockbuster now. And all mid and low budget movies disappeared apart from indie creators.
Yeah.
Like there's no mid budget movies anymore.
I do wish they would have tried to do a little more low tech practical effects. Even if they were like in the first movie, you just saw like part of the creature at a time.
Yeah.
I would have rather they'd done that. I thought the CGI in this was actually worse than the second one. Which is weird.
I wasn't a fan.
The budget was the same, if not more. So I don't know if they just went to a different studio to do the special effects. If there was a time issue, that they didn't have enough time. But I thought the CGI in this was actually worse than the second one.
They were trying to show more, so I can get it. Like El Blanco, probably to do that all practically would have taken up half their budget.
Yeah, that's fair.
To tell that story. And then going from the Shriekers to the Ass Blasters, and in fact there's more of them. There wasn't actually only 3 or 4, there weren't a lot.
Yeah.
It was a bit at the start, there was a whole gang of them, about 30 or 40.
Well, the Shriekers in the beginning.
Yeah.
But as far as the Ass Blasters, I think it was
there weren't that many of them.
Yeah.
So
I think you're right. 4 or 5.
They still did a bit with the underground. They still used the practical effects, with the blanket. Which is still funny. I appreciated that. They still kept that in. It didn't make that CGI.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's This is the concern with a lot of these things. They just start relying on shoddy special effects and sci-fi channel type stuff. Like, are the worst offenders.
Yeah.
Once it starts looking like a sci-fi channel, you're right. It's like, nah, done.
It does take you out of it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I don't know, because I think as well, because you've said, they've dialed back the horror now and they've dropped their rating. They're wanting to show more and less jumping out of the shadows, like attacking. Do you remember? Don't know if you ever watched that. Winged Serpent Q.
No.
It's an old 70s one about basically a dragon flying around New York eating people.
Oh, I'm in. I gotta look that up.
And there's boobies in it.
Dragons, boobies, I'm in.
But you don't see anything. You know what I mean? You see the camera shot and swooping down, and you see maybe the silhouette of the wings, but you don't actually see the creature till the end.
Okay.
And they still managed to tell a pretty tense horror movie.
Yeah.
Up until, and that was made in the 70s. Still watchable.
Yeah. It could be done, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
So maybe if they had kept the horror aspect and made it a bit more jumping about and people getting snatched from the shadows as opposed to out in the open.
Yeah.
They could have relied less on the CGI.
Definitely. The one time where the ass blasters looked intimidating was when they killed Miguel. But even that was shot really weird. I don't know if you noticed that in that scene. So you have the creature like swooping in and knocks Miguel off the ledge.
Mm-hmm.
And then they show it from like a first person perspective of what you assume is Miguel falling onto like a metal spike.
Mm-hmm.
And then they switch to a different camera angle and it's the ass blaster that goes on the metal spike and is crushed. Why would a flying creature fly with him down and then get crushed? So it was like it was edited really weird. Mm-hmm. And then they come down and they see Miguel is somewhere else next to or near the
where you think if he had held onto it so it couldn't fly, got his arms around it,
something like
that would make sense why it would fall.
Why would the ass blaster fall if it could fly onto the spike?
Well, if it couldn't fly enough, like if Miguel held onto his wing, onto his legs, and it couldn't carry the weight,
that would have been pretty cool because it would almost be like a heroic death if he was able to bring one down. But that was just very weird the way that was shot. Right?
Maybe that's what they wanted to do, but they couldn't figure out how to do it.
Yeah, it could be
pure mechanics because it kind of made his death a bit wasted.
It did. I felt bad. That was the first death in the whole series so far that I actually felt bad that the character died.
Well, him and Walter's still.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, I like Walter too. That's a good point. Yeah.
Like, and that's one thing as well. If we're going to start picking off the original cast throughout this, it's going to get a bit tricky to stay on board because you need that. I think we've discovered now this. We need perfection. We need the original cast. We need those links to the first story.
Yeah, I love that.
Or else it just becomes cheesy sequel, and then you just like and switch off.
Yeah, I like that concept of a continuous long storyline. Yeah.
What do you like for time? Because I know you've got a.
I do have to leave in a minute. I don't know if you want to finish up or if you want. I could come back. It's up to you.
I'm trying to see, we're practically there because it's just Captain Miguel. Basically, they discover the ass blasters. They need to try and figure it out.
Yeah.
Rhonda gets a mention, which was cool.
I like that. I was surprised. I like when they do those little callbacks to the previous characters. They did a good job in the second one of referencing Val, how he got married and was successful. Mm-hmm. I was surprised in this one, unless I missed it. I wanted to ask you. I don't think they mentioned Earl at all.
No, they didn't.
Which is odd because he was the only other character besides Burt who was in the first two.
But I think it's being clever as well because you don't want is a whole litany. You don't want member berries.
Okay.
You know why everything now is devolved into, this is where they did it cleverly and with Easter eggs and member berries, but now they do it all the time. It's like every character has to get mentioned in every sequel just so you don't forget.
Right.
A certain franchise you're still a fan of is very guilty of that.
I'm surrounded.
You think it's the only thing they're relying on because they're making shit content?
You mean Star Wars?
Wom was.
Yeah.
But they did get some of the CGI right. There was some of it like looked decent,
I
but there
thought the
wasn't enough
second.
of it.
Yeah, I thought the second one was actually better with it. I feel like less is more. Hopefully, in the next one, they tone it back, unless somehow their budget or their capabilities got a lot better. So I'm curious how that's approached in the next one.
Yeah, I think they're starting to figure out now that practical effects layered with CGI is the way forward.
Yeah.
Use CGI to tidy up, but you need the practical effect base.
Right.
The green screen stuff just looks horrendous. You may as well just make an animated movie.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, animated movies are better because at least they're made on the medium and it makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I have the whole thing doing another love story with Jodie and Jack, but they make this one a slow burner. So they don't just fall into each other's arms at the end.
Yeah,
They
I
go in
did
there.
not. Yeah, I thought the story aspect, the way they handled it, was good. I just Jack's side of it, I liked. I thought Jodie's acting was very wooden. I thought of the three movies, she might be the worst actress. I'm sure, I feel bad saying that. I'm sure she's a very nice person, and
Playing the character she was given.
yeah. I thought the character was cool. I just thought that every line she delivered just didn't have any emotion or any. It was almost like she was reading it. I found her not believable as a human being. So
Got it. They're
that's
trying to do
something.
the she's so involved in work and that she forgets to stop and smell the roses, but maybe a bit too much into it.
Maybe.
Because Walter had a cheekiness to him, a bit of fun about him.
Oh yeah, Walter was great.
But
Yeah.
Jodie didn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I still like
Maybe.
the fact that they didn't just have them falling into each other's arms. They actually
Yes.
went okay, let's just go out and hang out with each other. And it might have went somewhere, it might not have. We don't know. But just taking that step, I like that rather than I thought the first one with Val and Rhonda was very forced. I liked
Yes.
Earl and Kate. There's been the best like romantic relationship portrayed so far.
Right. Right.
That felt good.
I think the second was the best so far of the three.
Yeah,
You're right.
this one, it's almost felt like they had to do it, and at least they did it slowly. So I like the way they did it because they could have just had them fall into each other's arms.
Yeah, exactly.
And that would have been daft, but just getting her to go out for a drive with them and nothing, what happened. We'll see.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get to the whole thing. So when they call the feds are like, these are not our protected species. You can't kill them, blah, 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 unless we can get one alive. And that's what makes this whole thing happen. But then we get the reveal of Milton.
Oh, that was great. That was great. To bring him back again as like a villain, I thought was such a great idea because fans of the first movie, unless they knew were annoyed by him. So to bring was great.
Yeah. And any sympathy we had after the first one? Nah.
Oh, gone. Yeah.
Gone. Sorry. We kind of tried to make excuses for him in the first one because he was a kid. Now it's like, nah.
Yeah.
Get eaten.
And the ending where Burt leaves him on the rock was, I mean, in a word, perfection.
Yep. That was it because it was interesting the way they did it. Okay, so Milton's trying to buy up all this land. He just wants to turn into condos and stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever reason, he's trying to rip people off and destroy the heartland of the town, which people are still invested in.
Yeah.
And then Burt discovers a loophole. All right, so these are a protected species. So as long as I have one run about,
it's a great twist. It was a great twist. I tell you that great writing for that different parts of the movie, but definitely the way they ended it. My favorite ending of the movie so far.
Yeah, and that's what the show as well. That's what I'm saying. You can have mess. You can talk about environmental stuff. You can talk about endangered species, but you can also talk about instead of that stupidity now where everyone just get beaten over the head and it's antagonistic, where it's designed to make you push back.
Yeah.
They're going, oh, this can be mutually beneficial to us both. Yeah. Okay, right. This works.
Yeah, it wasn't over, like you said, it wasn't over the top. It wasn't beating a dead horse, but it still got the message across in a fun way. It was a fun twist. Yeah. So I'm excited for the next one. What is the next one? It's not. Is it called Tremors 4 or is it?
It is called Tremors 4, but there's another.
Okay.
I think there's a Tremors 4. The Legend Begins.
Ooh, I like it.
2004. Yeah, so that'll be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Looking forward to it, man.
Yep. Chris, thanks again, mate. I know we'll just wrap us up so that you can get away and get us going. But yeah, folks, we'll get that scheduled up. Keep up to date. Obviously, we're having so much fun doing this franchise. And if you check out Tremors Saga channel as well, they're so much fun. I just discovered them randomly. They popped in the chat. If you really want to get into like the weeds of they out nerd any of us, they go there. We can even hope to follow. Take years to build up that level of knowledge.
Exactly.
Check them guys out. But thanks again, everyone. As always, come to the channel, do the typey clicky things. And until next time, keep it creepy, keep it horrific.